All right. So, we want to see what Proverbs has to say about advice, godly advice. So, if you are in the book of Proverbs, we are going to start at Proverbs chapter 10, verse 8. Proverbs chapter 10, verse 8 says, "The wise in heart accept commands, but a chattering fool comes to ruin." So the idea there is that those who live skillfully, okay, that's what the word wise means, remember? Somebody who is skillful at living life the way life was designed and intended to be lived. Okay? Those who live skillfully receive or take in teaching or advice. But the chattering fool comes to ruin. What do you think a chattering fool means? So somebody who keeps their mouth going, right? They keep their mouth going all the time. So that person, the chattering fool, would rather talk than listen. And so they don't hear what people are trying to tell them. Have you ever been in a conversation with somebody and they just keep talking over you? Or you're mid-sentence and all of a sudden they take off talking? Like they weren't even paying attention that you were talking? Yeah. Well, it says here that they will come to ruin. Why? Because they don't have their ears tuned in to advice from others. They're just a chattering fool. Let's go on down in the chapter, verse 15. "The way of fools seem right to them, but the wise listen to advice." What do you think that's saying? I know best, so I must be right. Right? Yeah. "The way of the fools seems right to them, but the wise listen to advice." Okay, across the page, chapter 13, verse 10. It says, "Where there is strife, there is pride, but wisdom is found in those who take advice." Now remember early on, when we were beginning our study of the book of Proverbs, we said that the book of Proverbs is one of the poetry books of the Bible. Who can tell us the other poetry books of the Bible? Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon. Those are the books of poetry. Okay? And so we said that Proverbs is one of the books of poetry, and Hebrew poetry is based on parallelism. Remember us having that conversation? Okay? And that there are all these different kinds of parallelism. Well, what form of poetry is chapter 13, verse 10? For those of you who can remember the different, you don't have to know the exact term, but what kind of parallelism? Opposite or contrary parallelism. And we know that because the second part is a contrast to the first part, and we have the word "but" there. Right? So when you say the word "but," there's a contrast. So one of the contrasts in this verse is pride and those who take advice. What's the contrast between pride and those who take advice? Okay, humility. It's part of wisdom, right? Yeah. Then the other contrast here is strife and wisdom. How is that a contrast? The pride leads to the butting of heads all the time, right? Yeah. But the wisdom looks for how to cooperate, how to get along, okay? Without compromising truth and without compromising principles. But still looking for ways that we can work together, how we can encourage each other, how we can link arms and so forth. So, it's just saying there, where there is strife, there is pride, but wisdom is found in those who take advice. So is being an advice taker a godly thing? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, look at chapter 13, verses 13 and 14. "Whoever scorns instruction will pay for it, but whoever respects a command is rewarded." The teaching of the wise is a fountain of life, turning a person from the snares of death. So verse 13 is really explained by verse 14. The wise give good, godly advice and turn people from death. But a person who scorns instruction is going to suffer. A person who pays heed to instruction will be rewarded.